Let me introduce myself again, because I am the MC and I'm also supposed to give a speech. And the notes I were given just said, Nancy gives speech now, which isn't much of a segue. So I'll just start by saying we made it. All of us in this room, we survived 4 years of Donald Trump and his almost daily attempts to strip our community of our humanity. And we survived 2 years of a global pandemic that killed almost 1 million Americans. And we did that. We made it this far. And if you are here, you just didn't make it. You made it and you decided that no matter what is going on in the world, you're going to keep fighting to make it a better place. So thank you for being here. And can I get a show of hands if it's your first Basic Rights Oregon event? Wow, that's so cool. Nice. What if it's your second event? Nice, very good. Third. Nice. Lost count? Yes. I see you, Michaela. Michaela's a star volunteer. And so, well, thank you. And you should all, whether it's your first event or your 100th event, thank you. And I'm so excited you're here. And showing up matters. And we're so grateful that you showed up today, because showing up, being present, bearing witness, it all matters. And it all adds up in the fight for LGBTQ equality, for racial justice, for disability rights, for economic justice, for everything we're collectively fighting for. And I'm thinking a lot about showing up and what happened in our state 30 years ago when we were facing Measure 9. So for those of you who weren't around, Measure 9 was a draconian ballot measure that said that all state and local governments should discourage homosexuality and other listed behaviors. Those other listed behaviors were pedophilia and sadomasochism, and not facilitate or recognize them. And so that ballot measure was ridiculous. It was deadly. It was violent. 2 LGBT activists were killed in a firebomb in Salem. It was this really horrendous thing that happened in our state. And for a lot of people I know who are activists today, they were politicized by that campaign. Queer people, straight people, like all sorts of people were like, oh, I need to do something to stand up for my community. And it's because of Measure 9 that Basic Rights Oregon exists today, because we were like, our community's under attack. We need to do something. And so it was just a few years later that we started. But a lot of the reason it's been on my mind lately isn't just that it's the 30-year anniversary, it's because of what's happening in Florida and Texas, right? These really draconian things. So I think most of you know, but in Florida, both chambers have passed the Don't Say Gay bill, where educators are forbidden to say words around sexual orientation or provide lesson plans that are inclusive to the LGBTQ community for kindergarten through 3rd grade. So for me, all I can think of is, how would my 2nd grader be able to talk about his family? And then I put in a joke, it's not really funny, but does Heather only have one mommy in Florida? I don't know. But, thank you, Blair. Yeah, it's not good. Anyway, I think it does feel like a joke, right? That it's such a ridiculous bill, and it's so counter to everything that we know and stand for. And what's scary is right now that there's 9 other states with very similar bills around the country. And what's also scary is the name of that bill is Parental Rights in Education, which, if you know anything about what's happening at school boards, including in Oregon, the group that we're fighting over and over and over is called Parents' Rights in Education. And, you know, Florida's 3,000 miles away, but the kinds of anti-LGBTQ activists who made this bill a reality are not far away. They're right here in Oregon, and they're trying to take away all the gains that we've made over the last 30 years. And I will come back to that, but first, I think we should just all breathe a collective sigh of relief, because just yesterday, right, one judge in Texas had the wherewithal to fight Governor Abbott and filed an injunction around enacting the order around CPS investigating parents who are supportive of their trans children. So thank you, Judge Amy Clark Meacham, and all the people in Texas who are fighting this absurd and hurtful order. And so in a world where trans kids are so often thrown out of their homes and forced to fend for themselves, being subject to horrendous rates of violence, Governor Abbott chose not to criminalize the parents who disown their own children for being who they are, but instead chose to criminalize the parents who support their children and get them life-saving medical care. So it would be a sick joke, right, if it wasn't actually happening. And so as a parent of a gender non-conforming child and as a human, it makes me so angry that all over the country, the backlash against the gains that we have made as the LGBTQ community is being enacted on our children. And it's a politics of division and ignorance and cruelty. And right now, policies like this would not pass in Oregon, right? We have a majority of support in the governor's office, both chambers of the legislature, and that's a good thing. And it didn't happen accidentally, right? It happened because all of us don't do just one thing, we do all the things, right? And so I can say, at least for Basic Rights Oregon, as Basic Rights Education Fund, we educate the public around the issues that matter to the LGBTQ community. As Basic Rights Oregon, we take on issues that matter to us in the legislature and advocate for pro-LGBTQ policy. And as the Equality Political Action Committee, we work to endorse LGBTQ and pro-equality candidates. And through all three of these entities, we have built a strong pro-equality majority in our state, for now. So I say for now, because I think what we've all learned in the last few years is what is true today is not guaranteed. So when a school board says they can ban pride flags, ban Black Lives Matter symbols, fire a superintendent for following the law, and then successfully fight off a recall effort, our trans and LGBTQ and Black students and students of color are not safe in Newburgh. And if students are not safe in Newburgh, then students aren't safe in Oregon. Because we're in this together, and Newburgh isn't an anomaly. We have fought anti-LGBTQ forces in Grants Pass, and shout out to Rogue Action Center and all the great folks in Grants Pass, in Dallas, Oregon, in Westland, in Albany, all over the state. And this is an attempt, and sometimes a really successful attempt, by the right wing to take over school boards in Oregon and across the country. And they take advantage of the fact that many of us forget to vote in May elections or other special elections. They take advantage of our complacency because of how far we've come, and they take advantage of the fact that sometimes we stop paying attention to what's going on in our towns because there's just so much going on. But if we don't pay attention to where we live, to every single corner of our state, laws like this one, that are all of them that we see at the national level, will be attempted at one of the over 200 school boards that we have in Oregon. And I know it might sound paranoid, but it's not hard to see a pattern of what's happening, of going from small town school board to state legislatures, because that is how it is happening all across the country, and weirdly, not weirdly, because it's a plan, all across the world, right? And so groups like Parents' Rights in Education are well funded by folks like the Koch brothers and other, ALEC and right-wing think tanks to do this work. And so I was on a call with activists from around the world, and they were talking about it happening in Germany, in Portugal, like all over Europe. It is happening all over the world, and it's insidious. And we kind of joke in the office, like it sounds like a weird conspiracy theory, and it feels like a lot to talk about, but it's happening, and we can watch it happening. And it happened in the 90s, and the school boards are just really important to look at and think about and be active in, because there's only one way to fight this work and what's happening. We have to be involved and engaged. We have to vote in every election and down every ballot. And we have to talk to our friends and neighbors about issues that matter to us. And we have to support the people running for office who support us. I think that really matters. And we have to fight to keep what we've already won. And then we have to dream bigger. We've won a lot, but we know that all the laws we pass, because our state is really good, right? We're considered one of the best in the nation. But we know that doesn't mean lived equality for all the folks who face discrimination on a daily basis, right? Or all the folks who can't get into housing because it's too expensive. There's just all the things. We know that passing laws is not enough. It doesn't actually equal lived equality. And so we want Oregon to be the best state for LGBTQ folks, the place that people dream of coming to. And we want to keep passing laws that inspire other states to do better, right? We want to be that North Star for the rest of the country. And I think it can happen because we want a world where our children can be free to be completely who they are, no matter who they love or how they identify. And so that's why we're here today. And I just really want to thank you again for being here. And if I stop talking soon, I'll be exactly on time. So, yes, I wanted to share workshops started at 10:45, and we did want to give folks a 15-minute break. There is coffee now, which I know a lot of folks have been looking for and needing, and that's good. Get your coffee. And the workshops supporting prisoners during the pandemic and hot meals and gender feels are downstairs in Crater Lake South and Crater Lake North. And workshop 230, which is Ignore the Binary, Embrace Intersectionality, is on the second floor, which is, I believe, the floor we're on. Oh, it's this floor. Yes, I know this building very well. I've been here for 90 minutes. So again, thank you all for being here. I'll let you get to your break, and I'll see you back here to get your lunch at noon. Thank you.